In the spring of 1977, 47-year-old Dora Ruth Smith was living with her husband Wilbur in the Wheaton Heights neighborhood of Florence, Alabama. The pair raised 3 children together in their one-story home on Weekly Street, and by all accounts, Dora and Wilbur appeared to have been respected members of the community. When asked about Dora, her neighbors said she was known to deliver newspapers throughout Wheaton Heights, and although they did not describe her as unfriendly, they said she was reserved and typically stayed to herself. Pictured is the only available photo of Dora, one which fails to give us a full picture of who she was. Much as she was remembered as a quiet woman by acquaintances, Dora maintained a decades-long silence in the aftermath of her disappearance. That is, until 26 years later, when a haunting letter was found within the walls of her home. Its contents may be the only insight we will ever have into the true nature of Dora's disappearance, and the possible evils she may have faced before she vanished. Sometime on the night of April 24th, 1977, Dora's husband Wilbur said he saw his wife walk out of their house wearing only her nightgown and climb into their lime green Ford LTD. Although she typically wore dentures, she did not bring them with her that night, nor did she bring any other belongings. She was then said to have driven away, never to be seen or heard from again. It is unknown if there was any indication of where she was going, or what series of events prompted her to flee the house so suddenly. Wilbur did not report his wife missing that night, and didn't appear to have any intention of doing so as day after day passed with no word from Dora. One can only speculate on the state of their marriage if her disappearance was so wholly unconcerning. Several days after Dora supposedly drove into the night, one of her sons reported her missing. No one seemed to have any idea why Dora would run away from her life in Florence. Although Dora wasn't the kind to divulge personal issues to neighbors she didn't know well, it seems there would have been some indication why she wanted to leave everything behind. Little is known of the police's investigation of Dora's disappearance, but it quickly devolved into a cold case, with police only having a handful of rumors, but no credible leads to follow up on. Wheaton Heights gossip focused primarily on Wilbur, who seemed all too eager to move on from his missing wife. He began a relationship with a woman that lived nearby, and they eventually married 5 years after Dora's disappearance. In 2002, Mike and Stacy Ballantine moved into the small, one-story home on Weekly Street, eager to begin renovations on the aged home. They took particular issue with the home's wallpaper and began to strip the walls of the master bedroom and closet. But as they did this, they saw something fall to the ground. It was an envelope, one which had been wedged between the wall and the wallpaper. The two opened the envelope and saw $200 in cash had been tucked away inside, placed next to a note. The following message was scrawled on the paper. "They are trying to take my food away and kill me. Please help me." The Ballantines had no idea who wrote the letter or what to do with the information, and they began telling their neighbors about the contents of the note before alerting police. Once again, rumors began to swirl in the town of Florence that the letter had been written by Dora Ruth Smith, the woman that had disappeared from that house all those years ago. Yet neighbors and investigators alike could not make sense of the note. Who was the they referenced in the note? And why were they trying to take Dora's food away? And if she had wanted someone to help her, why did she hide the note in such a way that it was unlikely to ever be found? Of course, this is assuming the letter was actually written by Dora Smith, but there has been no confirmation of this by police. Regardless, the note stirred up renewed interest in the case among police and citizens alike. On January 9th, 2003, Florence police announced that they had new leads in Dora's case and intended to unearth the ground beneath the small, dilapidated shed behind the house that had once belonged to Wilbur Smith. It had long been a rumor in the neighborhood that he had murdered Dora all those years ago and buried her in their backyard, and after the fact, made up a strange story to explain her disappearance. Although Wilbur's story of Dora's behavior was uncharacteristic and hard to believe, it took investigators 26 years to follow up on these leads and search the home. Investigator Darren Michael initially brought 4 cadaver dogs to the home about a week before official search efforts began, and according to the Times Daily, all 4 indicated that there were human remains nearby. This same article details the morning investigators first broke ground beneath the shed, a scene which drew spectators from both Dora and Wilbur's family. After only 2 feet of digging, investigators hit a solid object in the dirt. The dig was paused until those same cadaver dogs from a week prior could arrive to the lot. Of the 4 dogs that had previously alerted investigators of remains in the area, only 1 still indicated there were remains nearby. This dog even began digging into the earth behind the house. Police and forensic scientists continued digging, reaching nearly 4 feet below the surface in one area, but found no remains or clues of Dora Smith's whereabouts. "We can't say she's there, nor can we say she's not," one investigator said. "It would take someone coming in with a bulldozer and backhoe to dig down far enough to know for sure. We had hoped to be able to bring this to an end. I guess it will remain an unsolved case, maybe forever." Simply put, reading into this case was extremely frustrating. One can't help but ask, if investigators believed there was still a chance Dora Smith could be found, given that they had the proper equipment, why couldn't they find a way to make this happen? It seems that until a full search of the property is conducted, we cannot say for sure that Dora's remains are not in that backyard. Thank you so much for watching this video, and of course, let me know if there are any other cases or stories you would like me to cover in the future. And as always, stay safe.